Hello, welcome back to another little quick video. I mentioned in yesterday's video, I did a quick electrolyzer build video yesterday, that I would throw something together for a bit of liquid cooling. So this is a video today on how to cool some toasty hot water, i.e. geyser water, passively just using wheeze worts and a bit of polluted water and some of the new radiant pipes. Now, yesterday's electrolyzer video got mixed reviews, but I think a lot of people missed the focus on what the video was for, and that was primarily to show how powerful radiant pipes are. That is to say, they do an immense job of transferring temperature and letting you transfer heat to where you want it to be, basically. So this build today, it's going to be a very quick video. I'm going to try and steam through this as quick as I can. Primarily is going to be cooling hot geyser water to nice temperate water that you can then use elsewhere. This isn't meant to give you a massive throughput. This isn't meant to give you enough water to supply 50 bristle blossoms. This is just meant to give you a bit of cooled water that you can then use for another radiator build somewhere else. For example, the electrolyzer build that I did yesterday, which I'll put a little link up there for. So what we have here, dead easy, we've got a few different chambers here and they're separated for balancing temperature. So at the very bottom we've got some wheeze worts. Quite a lot of wheeze worts before any of you say it. I am aware this is quite a few wheeze worts. However, you should be finding you have more wheeze worts in your saves as a rule now. They seem to have done some changes to the world gen, and generally you'll find between 20 and 30, 40 wheeze worts in your world. So this will use quite a few. At the bottom here we've got hydrogen, and there's quite a lot of hydrogen in here. Assuming you've pumped it in with like a high pressure vent or something, we've got 20 kilos of hydrogen in here. This is separated by some wolframite or tungsten metal tiles, and then in here we've got some temp shift plates. Now this little build in the middle here is an idea that I saw Wachunga do on the forums for safely transferring temperature between rooms. And all we've basically got is the usual build that we'd normally do, which is some mechanised airlocks in the centre, but then the room's in a vacuum. And then we've got temp shift plates that are the only things interacting with the doors. And what this does is it gives you a very precise way of transferring temperature from A to B to C. Okay, so the only things that are interacting here are the temp shift plates and the metal doors, and then the temp shift plates and the tiles, and the temp shift plates and the tiles. It gives you a more consistent way of transferring temperature. So full credit to Wachunga for that one. It's a great little tip. Then we have the main liquid chamber here, and this is just polluted water in here. Just full tiles of polluted water in every tile. And then we've got some radiant pipe coming through here. Okay, we have a little bit of automation in the build as well, and this automation is just toggling these airlocks open and closed if we need any additional cooling in the build. So for example, if this drops if this goes above 1.5 degrees, then these airlocks will close, allowing the temperature to transfer from here to here, thus cooling our liquid a little bit. Then we've got the same sort of automation we had in yesterday's build, which is a liquid pipe thermosensor, basically reading the temperature that the liquid is in this tile here, in this pipe. And then as long as it's below, I think I've set this to 1.5 or 2 degrees, it goes into this chamber here. Okay, and that's that really. The liquid is throttled into the build, so it comes from this pump here at 86 degrees, hits this valve, and the valve is currently set to 200 grams a second. Okay, this then feeds into the build. Now there is also a little bit of automation here, which is if this sensor here, this element sensor, which is detecting the remainder of this pipe, if this doesn't detect any liquids, then it allows this pump to pump. Okay, so it should really just keep this pipe full, and then providing the space, the valve controls the flow into the build. Okay, now one thing I've noticed with these radiant pipes is a lot of the cooling happens almost instantly when it hits the build, especially when you're cooling small amounts of liquid as we are here. We're only cooling 200 gram packets. So as you can see, the liquid in this tile here is 80.4 degrees, 80.3, 80.2, hits this tile, and if I pause it a few times you can see it almost instantaneously cools. So there it is at 80.4, 32.4, 13, 6, 3, and then on it goes to the next tile. By the time it gets 3 or 4 tiles into the build, or 2 or 3 tiles into the build, it's at our target temperature, which is the temperature of the liquid behind it. So the polluted water is at 1.2 degrees. By this tile here, it's at 1.2 degrees. So in 2 tile spaces, this water was cooled right down, which is brilliant. What it basically taught me is I don't need as big a radiator in the room, but I'll get to that in a minute. This water then just cycles around the build and up to here, and then it just gets dumped into this room. Again, this isn't providing you with lots and lots of liquid, it's just, it's to give you a bit of liquid for using in one of these radiator builds elsewhere. Okay, so if you wanted to use this water then to cool some oxygen, you could do, just pipe it through some radiant pipes. Okay, so this was the first build, and then I thought, well, people are going to ask if we can use AETNs, so I did another build over here using an AETN. Exact same principle, we've got the doors in between to split the temperature, we've got our pool of water up here, we've got some radiant pipes and some temp shift plates, exactly the same build. And you'll see here, we've got water coming in at 86.8 degrees. It hits this liquid shutoff. On this one, we've got a liquid shutoff here at the start of the build because my pump was further away to where I built it. But basically, the liquid comes through this valve, hits this bridge, comes into the system, and if I slow it down, you'll see again, it practically instantly cools. And then within a few tiles, it's basically the temperature. This water is being kept at below 1.5 degrees, so it will fluctuate a little bit, but as and when it toggles on, for example, if I just trick it for a second, our doors will close and then the temperature gets transferred into the build. Okay, so that's how that works. So you can do the same thing with an AETN. Again, the same thing. We've got a reduced flow here. It's only doing 200 grams a second. I've been running this for like nearly 20 cycles or so, and it can't handle a massive throughput, it has to be said. It's quite a small throughput. And in this build, obviously, we've just got an AETN that's being fed some hydrogen. A little mini pump down here, just simulating where your hydrogen's coming from, and that just keeps this going. Okay, and again, gives us throughput water or output water of 1.5 degrees. You could obviously get this a bit lower if you wanted to. This is 1.1 over here because the switches are slightly different. And then the final build, I thought, well, people are going to ask how big this needs to be if we can make it smaller. So from what I mentioned before, being that radiant pipes are incredibly powerful, I've made BABYS' first cooler. Okay, so what this basically is, same amount of wheeze water at the bottom. We've got the same sort of temperature transference here with the mechanised airlock transferring temperature to the room, but then we've only got like 5 tiles of water here. Okay, the radiant pipe, we've only got 4 pieces of radiant pipe in the build. So the water comes in through here at, as you can see, 86.8 degrees again. So it's another toasty hot pool of water that I've used up here. It's really pretty hot. It comes through the build, it hits this liquid shutoff, which goes to this valve. It hits the valve, and on this build we are doing 100 grams a second, so it isn't quite as powerful because obviously it's a smaller build, but you could maybe up that a little bit in fairness. And all that basically happens, it hits this first bit of pipe and almost instantly cools. And then by the time we get to the liquid shutoff here, it's at 1.5 degrees. So yeah, really powerful, these radiant pipes. You don't need as much as I thought. I originally built quite large radiators, or not quite large, but reasonably sized radiators, thinking, you know, this would be needed to cool the liquid, but then notice most of the cooling happens almost instantly. This is partly down again to the fact that I'm only moving small packets, but as you can see by the fact that it's pissing out constantly at, you know, 200 grams a second, it's not too bad. It very rarely gets to circulate, it just cools it. So as you can see, it's working in all of them. I think this one's 200 grams as well. 200 grams. I think if we increase that a little bit too much, it would probably overheat pretty quickly, especially with this smaller one here, because we don't have much room for this to be circulating. As you can see, our doors toggled shut and open again, so it is needing more cooling. Yeah, seems to be working. So there's a little build for you. It's a little passive build. I'm sure you could tweak this a little bit and refine it a bit more yourselves. Whether you need this many wheeze warts in the long haul, I don't really know. Our hydrogen down here seems to be getting pretty cold. I just basically slapped a loading some in debug. Like this one has 5 wheeze warts, whereas the one over here has 6. This is using AETN, which is arguably a lot more powerful than a few wheeze warts, but yeah, it depends how much water you're going to try and put through. But again, this isn't to give you all the water for plants. This is just to give you a nice pool of temperate water that you can use for whatever you want. So I hope that helps, guys. Just a quick video, as I say. I'll give you the save as usual. Have a play with it, see what you think. Much love. Take it easy. Bye-bye.